Most people spend years trying to change their lives and still end up being the exact same person in the mirror. They change jobs, workouts, routines, but they keep the same autopilot, the same identity, the same unconscious responses. And that's why, even with effort, nothing truly changes. In today's video, I'm going to show you the 7 practical rules the elite use to reprogram their autopilot, shift their identity, and fast-track their evolution in 3 30-day cycles. Stick with me until the end, because the last rule is the one almost everyone ignores. And that's exactly why they stay the same, year after year. Rule 1. Reprogram the autopilot. Everything changes when your responses change. Think about it. Almost no one fails because they lack discipline. People fail because they don't realize the exact moment when autopilot takes over. It's that subtle moment when you feel anxious and you open your phone without thinking, or when frustration hits and you reach for food. The elite don't try to be stronger. They dismantle the mechanism that creates the weakness. And when you change the automatic response, you change the entire direction of your life. You know what's interesting? Most people try to start with the result. I'll wake up early, I'll work out every day, I'll be more focused. But that's like trying to paint over a wall without fixing the leak. High-performance individuals do the opposite. They start with the trigger. They identify the feeling, the time, or the environment that initiates the pattern. That gives them something rare: control. Because controlling the cause is far more powerful than fighting the effect. Neuroscience backs this up perfectly. The habit loop, trigger, routine, reward, was studied by researcher Philippa Lally at University College London, 2009, with 96 participants monitored over 12 weeks. They recorded their habits daily, and the study showed that behaviors repeated in the same context became automatic, regardless of motivation. In other words, your brain protects the autopilot even when the autopilot harms you. Breaking the trigger is the only real way to reprogram the loop. Now here's the key. Willpower is unstable, but an intercepted trigger is predictable. When you recognize anxiety, phone, or boredom, food, you create an intervention point. And at that point, you insert a 10-second microaction. Take a deep breath, stand up from your chair, splash water on your face, jot something down quickly. It's small, but it's strategic. You break the cycle before it consumes you. The elite think like this. Small interruptions create major shifts. Here's a psychological insight few understand. Every time you interrupt an automatic pattern, you send a silent message to your brain. I'm in control. This phrase isn't spoken out loud, but it's felt. Within weeks, the feeling shifts from, "This is just how I am," to, "I decide who I am." That builds confidence, boosts self-control, and most importantly, shifts you from being someone who reacts to someone who takes charge. So right now, choose 3 automatic responses to reprogram. Just 3. It could be opening Instagram when you feel uncomfortable, procrastinating under pressure, or arguing when you feel threatened. Replace each one with a simple micro-action. Do this for 30 days. You won't just improve habits, you'll become unrecognizable. Because changing what you do is good, but changing who controls your mind is transformative. Rule 2, the 90-day window. The threshold where a new identity finally takes hold. There's an illusion that sabotages millions of people. The belief that change happens too quickly. 21 days to form a habit. It sounds nice, but it's not true. What really changes your life isn't the habit itself, it's the identity that forms behind it. An identity requires time, repetition, and consistency. The elite know this, which is why they work within a 90-day window, the period when your mind finally accepts a new version of yourself as permanent. The data backs this up. A recent meta-analysis on habit formation, 2023, showed that the real average time to automate a behavior is between 59 and 66 days. It's not 3 weeks, it's not fast. And the 90 days give your brain exactly what it needs to solidify the habit: room for mistakes, time for adjustments, and the strengthening of neural connections. It's the space where you don't just perform a new habit, you begin to recognize yourself as someone who naturally does it. And here's a truth most people are afraid to admit. The 21-day myth came from a plastic surgeon, Maxwell Maltz, who observed his patients in the 1960s. It wasn't science, there was no methodology, just a visual pattern he noticed during post-op recovery. The media turned it into a universal rule. But when you work with real performance, you see the obvious. Changing your body takes time. Changing your mind takes consistency. Changing your identity takes daily intention. To make these 90 days effective, you need to structure them. In the adaptation phase, days 0 to 30, your focus is simple, not perfection, but stability. You build the rhythm, face resistance, and begin to understand your triggers. In the consolidation phase, days 31 to 60, the behavior stops feeling new and becomes part of your day. In the expansion phase, days 61 to 90, you increase intensity, clarity, and confidence. And here's the most powerful psychological insight. Each phase has a dominant emotion. The first brings friction. The second brings flow. The third brings identity. If you stop before 90 days, you're quitting right when the new version of you is about to stick. That's why so many people live in constant start-stop cycles. It's not a lack of discipline. It's a lack of understanding how the mind stabilizes patterns. When you approach life in 90-day blocks, everything changes. The pressure drops, clarity increases, and you start measuring real progress, not motivational fantasies. You stop chasing instant results and enter a game of true transformation. With 90 days well executed, you don't just become more productive, you become unrecognizable to others, and most importantly, to yourself. Rule 3. Operational growth mindset. It's not a belief, it's a response system. Most people think that having a growth mindset means being positive, repeating motivational phrases, or trying to believe that everything will work out. But the mental elite in the US operate differently. For them, a growth mindset isn't an emotional state. It's a protocol. It's the ability to turn failure into information, without drama, without a blow to self-esteem, and without falling into a self-sabotage spiral. They don't ask, "Why did I fail?" They ask, "What does this reveal about the system I'm using?" Stanford scientist Carol Dweck studied the impact of growth mindset on children and adults for years. In her experiments, groups were exposed to progressive challenges and were rewarded for effort, not talent. The results were impressive. When the focus was on the process, persistence increased, performance improved, and anxiety decreased. People with a growth mindset aren't more optimistic. They're more adaptable. They treat failure as data, not identity. And here's the critical point for your 90 days. When you try to change habits, it's natural to slip up, miss a day, or act outside the pattern you're building. Without a system, that slip becomes a mental avalanche. With an operational growth mindset, the slip becomes a diagnosis. You observe the behavior without excessive emotion and without creating a destructive narrative. This prevents small failures from becoming total collapse, which is common in people who live in all-or-nothing mode. That's why the elite use a simple, direct, and extremely effective protocol. Whenever something goes wrong, they ask 3 questions. What exactly happened? No sugarcoating, no interpretation. What's a possible explanation? You look for causes, not someone to blame. What will I adjust tomorrow? A specific corrective action. This process keeps logic high, emotion low, and progress continuous. 3 pillars of high performance. There's also an important social factor. In high-performance environments in the US, tech, sales, consulting, healthcare, no one expects you to get it right every time. They expect you to learn quickly. Professionals who freeze when they fail lose opportunities. Professionals who investigate, adjust, and move forward gain respect, leadership, and influence. Mistakes don't bring you down. The inability to extract value from them does. When you apply an operational growth mindset to your 90 days, the game changes. Anxiety drops because failure is no longer a threat. Confidence rises because you see yourself as someone capable of adjusting course. And identity strengthens because you begin to see yourself as someone who always finds the best answer, not someone who depends on motivation, luck, or perfection. Few do this, but those who do evolve at elite speed. Rule 4: identity first, habit second. The psychological trick that speeds up evolution. Most people try to change their life in the slowest way possible, waiting to feel disciplined before acting like a disciplined person. But the brain doesn't work that way. Identity doesn't come from what you promise. It comes from what you do repeatedly, even when you don't feel like it. The elite operate by this logic. They don't ask, "Am I motivated?" They ask, "How would my next level self act right now?" Action comes first. Identity follows. This principle is deeply psychological. Your brain updates your self-image based on evidence, not wishes. When you act like an organized person, even if you're naturally chaotic, your brain registers, "Maybe I'm not that disorganized after all." When you get up and follow a simple ritual, even when you feel lazy, your brain notes, "Maybe I'm consistent." That's how the mind rewrites internal labels. You build identity through small daily votes for who you want to become. To make this concrete, we use the concept of identity triggers. These are short, symbolic, but powerful rituals that reinforce the version of yourself you're becoming. It could be reviewing your priorities at 6 a.m., tidying up your desk before work, or consciously choosing the language you use. These rituals aren't meant to impress anyone. They're designed to reprogram your mental pattern toward leadership, clarity, and self-control. It's applied psychology in 30 seconds. Here's a quick example that illustrates this perfectly. Imagine someone used to living in messy and reactive mode. They wake up late, respond to messages in a rush, constantly putting out fires. Now imagine this person installs 3 micro rituals. They fix their appearance first thing, review their schedule every morning, and use more assertive language. Nothing huge, nothing hard. Within a few weeks, they begin to feel like a completely different person. Action created identity. The effect is so strong that it even changes how others treat you. People notice posture, precision, rhythm. Without saying a word, you radiate leadership. And as the environment starts to respond to your new identity, it reinforces the behavior even more. It becomes a cycle of psychological strengthening. You act like your elevated version, the world responds to that version, and your brain registers that it's real. You're not pretending, you're installing. So here's your practical key. Choose one specific identity for the next 90 days. Not, "I want to be better," but "I'm someone who acts with focus. I'm someone who prepares. I'm someone who follows through." Then create 2 or 3 rituals that symbolize that identity. Simple, direct, and easy to maintain. When you act like your future self before that version even exists, you bring it closer faster than any motivation ever could. Rule 5. Cut the anchors that keep you in the same version. There's a simple reason why some people evolve quickly while others stay stuck in the same version of themselves for years. It's not intelligence, talent, or lack of effort. It's psychological dead weight. While most people try to add habits, goals, and projects, the elite do the opposite. They start by removing what drags them down. Growth isn't just about what you adopt. It's about what you let go of without hesitation. This approach goes against common behavior. Most people try to build a new life on top of the old one, carrying draining habits, people who reinforce their past self, and environments that sabotage their focus. It's like trying to run with an anchor tied to your ankle. The elite understand the game. Before thinking about accelerating, they clear the ground. Without those invisible restraints, the brain operates with more clarity, energy, and decision-making power. That's why there's something called a negative anchor audit, a simple but incredibly powerful practice. You list 3 elements: habits that drain your energy, people who keep you predictable, environments that trigger distraction. Then you eliminate just 20% of the most harmful ones. It's amazing how this strategic cut immediately frees up mental space. You don't have to become a monk. You just have to remove what silently sabotages your performance. And there's a social component that changes everything. In the US, environments strongly shape identity. High-intention circles elevate behavior, boost discipline, and make productive patterns feel natural. Meanwhile, mediocre environments normalize complaining, wasting time, and procrastination. You don't just imitate what you see. You absorb the emotional climate of those around you. That's why changing your environment can transform your life faster than changing a habit. When you cut an anchor, the psychological effect is immediate, a feeling of expansion. Less noise, less negative stimulation, less friction. Your brain works with more precision. Your decisions become more logical, and your energy stops being drained by things that shouldn't take effort in the first place. Suddenly, what once felt impossible becomes accessible, because now you have space to act like someone elite. So here's the practical move for the next 90 days. Deliberately eliminate one person, one habit, and one environment that reinforce your old version. Just 3 cuts, made calmly and consciously. They'll unlock more progress than any productivity technique. Your new identity can't grow where emotional clutter still lives. Rule 6. Deliberate discomfort. The training that rewires your self-image. Very few people understand how much discomfort shapes identity. Most run from it as if it were a threat, when in reality, it's a tool. The elite know that every microdose of discomfort sends a powerful message to the brain. You can handle this. And when that message is repeated daily, it changes something deeper than habits. It changes how you see yourself. Deliberate discomfort isn't punishment. It's construction. Neuropsychology explains this clearly. Controlled exposure to uncomfortable stimuli activates neural plasticity processes. The brain adapts, strengthens its circuits, and reduces the emotional response to stress. The more you face small friction points, the less reactive you become. And that emotional detachment unlocks a rare power, the ability to make decisions logically, even under pressure. Those who train discomfort are training inner leadership. That's why high performers never end their day without a conscious dose of discomfort. It might be a cold shower, an intense workout, a deep work block with no distractions, or a hard conversation you've been avoiding. The format doesn't matter, the message does. Each small action reinforces that you're not a slave to impulse, but someone in control. That builds real confidence, the kind that doesn't depend on motivation. What's most interesting is how discomfort rewrites your internal narrative. Before, you saw yourself as someone who backs down. After a few weeks, you start seeing yourself as someone who endures, adapts, and pushes through. Your brain records. If I got through that yesterday, I can get through this today. And little by little, decisions that once felt huge become just part of your normal day. It's not magic, it's guided neuroadaptation. To illustrate, imagine someone fully committed to a 90-day leap. They cut distractions, install friction-based rituals, and choose one daily micro-challenge. At first, it feels weird. They complain, consider quitting. But something shifts by week 3. Resistance drops, and suddenly, they start making bold decisions that once felt impossible, asking for a raise, changing environments, starting a project. They didn't become braver, they became trained. And here's the final point. Deliberate discomfort isn't about testing your physical limits. It's about upgrading your identity. Each act of practical courage is living proof that you are bigger than the impulse trying to control you. And when you collect that proof for weeks, your self-image transforms. You're no longer trying to be strong. You become someone who is strong. And that makes you unrecognizable in the best way possible. Rule 7. Conscious review. Block the return to your old self. The most dangerous part of change isn't the beginning or the middle. It's what happens after you improve. It's when you start feeling better, more focused, more stable. And because of that, you relax. Most people don't go back to their old self because they want to, but because they don't notice the exact moment when autopilot takes the wheel again. The elite prevent this with a simple, powerful practice: conscious review. It stops you from slipping back into patterns you've already outgrown. Science confirms the need for this process. Recent studies on habit formation and consolidation show that progress is not linear, it fluctuates. There's advancement, setbacks, stabilization, and micro-relapses along the way. That doesn't mean weakness, it means physiology. Your brain tests the new pattern, begins to solidify it, and then tries to save energy by reverting to the old one. Without conscious review, you confuse this natural fluctuation with failure and quit before real consolidation happens. That's why every 30 days you run a progress audit. It's not about motivation, it's about diagnosis. You answer 3 brutally honest questions. What's working? To reinforce it. What's holding me back? To adjust it. What will I change in the next 30 days? To redirect. This simple habit prevents small detours from growing into full-blown regression. It's how the elite stay on track while others drift without realizing it. The most valuable part of conscious review is how it strengthens your identity. When you see your progress clearly, you avoid emotional storytelling. You don't say, "I'm inconsistent." You say, "Here's the area I need to adjust." That keeps your mind in logic mode, not defeat mode. And the more times you repeat this analysis cycle, the more you become someone who can self-correct. A skill worth far more than sheer discipline. Then comes the 90-day milestone. This is the final test. Your new identity already exists, but it still needs protection. The guiding question at this stage is simple and relentless. Does this action serve the person I've become? This phrase creates an instant psychological filter that blocks old behaviors before they sneak back in. It prevents silent relapses and keeps your internal alignment high. When you live this way, reviewing, adjusting, filtering, you don't just change. You become someone who doesn't go back. Your decisions gain weight, your mind gains stability, and your life gains continuity. Conscious review is what transforms progress into identity and identity into destiny. This is when you stop wanting to change and truly become unrecognizable.